So we're back, and that was a close-up of Spike that you just saw. He's sitting here with me, being very, very cuddly, very, very purry. And you might be hearing some of that on the video. I am not sorry about that. He is too important to ever feel sorry about him being happy. But anyway, a third entry on the whole genre part is how to make genre matter in the story. It is very easy to just fall into the generic use of genre, which is basically just backdrop. You're running a story or writing a story, um, and your character is doing stuff, and in the background you have magic and or guns or spaceships or horrors from the deep or stretches of wasteland or whatever. But the story is not that affected by it. That is the generic approach. But if you really want to make genre matter, the entire point, other than just the whole trope thing, is character options. What can the characters not do? What the characters can and cannot do. And that goes for the main characters, that goes for side characters, that goes for background characters, goes for heroes, villains, and everything in between. What are their options? As I mentioned, in the typical post apocalyptic setting, world genre, there are not a lot of options for traveling far and wide. You're usually kind of isolated. Traveling in itself is a hazard or even flat out impossible. So you don't have that option. In space sci fi, travel is almost guaranteed. It would be an odd story, at least if it's a long story, if there was no major travel opportunity. You can play this low key by just having characters use the options that are available to them. If there's not a lot of options for traveling, then they don't travel a lot. If there's not a lot of options for engaging in combat and trying to solve problems with violence, then they don't do that a lot. That's the low key approach. The high key, if you can call it that, approach would be to make their options, what they can and cannot do, an actual issue. If they cannot do something, have it become an obstacle at some point. Maybe just a small obstacle, maybe just someone stopping someone else and saying, "Oh no, you're not going to use force on this one. That's not going to work. That's not an option." Or someone in a post-apocalyptic setting discussing that this could be solved in another city, but someone pointing out, "Yeah, well, we don't have that option." Maybe because that person is from another city and starts complaining about it. And the same goes for things that they can do. Have them use what they can do in a more obvious way. Draw attention to the fact that this problem can be solved by magic. Make a big deal out of it. Have them experience the magic in great detail instead of just taking it for granted. Because that's part of the genre. Whether you want low key or high key is up to you. There is no better answer, there is no right way to do it. That is very much about the style of writings, the style of story you want. Like so many other things that aren't, well, nothing is written in stone, but like many other things that aren't central to genres or stories types or anything. You can even pick and choose when and where to have high key and low key things. Maybe it's a big deal that they're not able to travel, or maybe it's a big deal that they are able to travel. Maybe it's the center of it. Star Trek is all about traveling around. So in that one, it actually does explore that facet of space sci-fi. There are not a lot of genres where it would be that accepted outright that a group of main characters basically go anywhere at any time for no other reason than to go there, literally, to boldly go where no one has gone before. That's usually a space sci-fi thing. They do it on a spaceship. If you go by the Stargate formula, then it's gates or portals between worlds. And you could probably find other genres they could do that in. You have realms and fantasy, but it's more a mainstay of space sci-fi or whatever you want to call it. Stargate. It's technically space sci-fi as well. It's just not a spaceship. Well, along the line, there are spaceships in the series, but the main thing is gates. But the situation of characters, the options that they have, and the problems they have figuring out how to use those options and avoid the options they cannot use, that goes a long way to fleshing out a genre and making it feel like more than just a backdrop. No, you cannot eat that. I guess that's actually it. I thought it would be more complicated than that. But yeah, figure out what kind of options are available in the genre. You don't have to do that for the story. You can do that for the whole genre if you want. If you are planning to do a lot of stories in one genre, or if you're picking a new genre to do a story in and you want to have it stand out from whatever else you've done, you can sit down and just look at the genre, and then the story can come later and be based on some or all of the things that you find are the options characters have. But the situation the characters find themselves in, the options they have that are inherent to the genre, those are perhaps the best way to flesh out the genre in a story without making it either generic or making it seem artificial, that suddenly something has to be solved by magic because this is fantasy and that's how we do things. Instead, have the options on the table and let the audience know what those options are and how they how the characters choose the options that they end up choosing. Well, half length this time, not even 10 minutes. Say goodbye, Spike. No, you're just purring.